But this isn't the first time our commander-in-chief has been compared to the dictator. President Ronald Reagan also faced the same criticism for being a conservative. Joining us now is Fox News contributor Tammy. You wrote an opinion piece comparing these two and the parallels between Reagan and President Trump. Good morning. Nice to see you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about that Hitler comparison here. Reagan had to deal with this?
Well, yes. Virtually all Republicans do effectively who gain power. But with Reagan, it was almost identical in the sense of it was the media doing the same kinds of comparisons. As an example, though, for Trump, a Washington Post in March of last year, you don't have to go back to history's most famous example, Adolf Hitler, to understand that authoritarian rulers can achieve power through the ballot box. So you have it through major newspapers, people on the street, the rhetoric on blogs, etc. But for Reagan, it was generally the media, the Democrat Party, and liberalism. And this is the problem with it. It is the boy who cried wolf, right? It's a constant refrain. Remember Bush Hitler. They renamed Bush. So whichever Republican president, it's almost a hysterical, a literally hysterical accusation, because they know they can't discuss the details of the issues and defeat the conservative ideal in that way. The only way to really try to get people to turn off to the conservative leadership is to compare them to someone where the accusation is so broad, so dramatic, and so frightening that people will retreat. But it's been done so much, I think, as they found, it didn't work with Trump. It certainly also didn't work with Reagan either. Well,
let's talk some positive now. We'll get off Hitler. On a Sunday, let's talk some positivity here and look at some of the parallels between what these two presidents were doing. Let's talk about the first 100 days. Do you see any similarities in these first 100 daed between Reagan and Trump?
Yes. I mean, this is one of the biggest differences of the absurdity of the comparison when it comes to, obviously, a genocidal maniac. For President Reagan, and just like with President Trump, massive positive outlook by the American people, a lifting up of the spirits about what was possible. Their rhetoric is one about America being able to be great again. And when America is strong, of course, the rest of the world is safer. So these are messages from both Reagan and Trump about lifting people up. Economically, there was immediate reaction, an immediate beneficiary. Of course, for President Reagan, we had the problem of the assassination attempt, and yet he continued on his work. And for President Trump, I think what we have is a man who's as equally as focused about getting the work done for the American people.
Do you see some similarities with the Congress they were battling at the time as well? Because that's the question. Will Trump get his tax cuts through? Will he be able to repeal and replace Obamacare? What did Reagan face?
Well, it's the same, almost identical. You're looking at not just a Democrat establishment and media that didn't like Reagan and Trump, but also their own bureaucracy. The Republican Party did not want President Reagan in. They wanted George H.W. Bush. He was the compromise for the vice president. With the case, of course, of Donald Trump, he also is fighting the Republican bureaucracy, the media, and the Democrats. So these are men, these are two in particular men, Reagan and Trump, who really represent a complete outside dynamic that threatens the bureaucracy as it knows itself, and that's why people are so frightened.
They're so scared, exactly.
They're frightened, and yet the benefits, I think, will be undeniable.
Tammy, great to see you.